Hi everyone, it's Amanda here from Palmer Health, and today I'd like to speak to you about something that is really important to me and hopefully to you too. It's digestion. How do we get the foods into our body, get all the stuff we need from them and excrete them in the best possible way? And what are some of the things we're doing wrong that will affect our digestive process? So here's something I prepared earlier. I've got a little diagram here. I might look back to front, but basically we're going to eat and we put the food in our mouth and the saliva will start mixing with the food and we chew the food, and we're actually designed to chew the food until it's nearly like water, until it nearly disappears into nothing. And once we start that chewing, the digestive juices are released, and that stimulates all the other digestive processes in our body. So to really get that kick started, we're supposed to smell the food. And traditionally in bush medicine, what I learned when I was with the Aboriginals is they know if a food's poisonous or not, because if they smell it and they salivate, they know that they can eat it. So just start doing that. We see it on cartoons and things where they sniff their hamburger and saliva starts being thrown out there, and it actually does happen. So smell your food. Get the digestive juices flowing. It's a nice time to give thanks for the food we've got as well. Then we need to chew. And there's the only people that chew too much are the ones that chew chewing gum. So we need to give the food a really good chew and get it all blended up. And this is going to stimulate our stomach juices as well that are going to aid us in the next step of digestion. And these days, you notice we are actually inhaling food. We can often take a bite and swallow it whole, and we weren't designed to do that. So we chew the food, and the digestive enzymes from the saliva start mixing the food up and getting it prepared to enter down into our esophagus and into our stomach. So the food goes down here into the stomach, and our stomach is lined with very delicate and beautiful mucous membranes that keep the function and structure of the stomach. And contained in that is the digestive enzymes, the hydrochloric acid. And this is a very potent acid. It's strong, and this is where a lot of the food breaking down occurs. Now, if you're dehydrated, for example, the mucous membranes in the stomach lining will dry out, and you won't get you get some of the stomach acid burning into your mucous membranes, and this is what's happening when we get reflux and heartburn sometimes. So starting with the chewing and getting the chewing right is what we need for the food to get down and into our stomachs. It's a really good way to stimulate your digestive enzymes, and sometimes it's really beneficial that we actually find a good supplement of digestive enzymes and take them as well, which you should obviously seek professional guidance in. Don't just start taking them willy-nilly. But I've definitely noticed huge advantages for me resetting my stomach when I started taking some digestive enzymes. Some other important parts of our stomach and intestines, we start going from the stomach and we go down to the small intestine. And in the small intestine, it's where we have the maximum nutrient assimilation. It's where we get the nutrients out and into our system. And so the small intestine, which comes after the stomach, is, obviously it looks like this, but on a cross section, it's like this, and it's got these little hairs. They're called microvilli. And the hairs basically pick up the nutrients and let them go back. So the hairs will suck in the nutrients and take them down into the bloodstream, out into our body for processing. The same thing happens here with our our poisons and the toxins, because then they'll be sent to the liver for processing and waste removal. What happens though when we have poor digestive systems and poor diets, and I'll talk more about this when I talk about some of the digestive illnesses, is these little guys just go flat and they stop doing their job. And we could be eating the finest organic food and spending hundreds on supplements every month, but if those guys, the microvilli, aren't functioning, those little fingers of hair that are responsible for us getting our nutrients, then we're not going to get any of it. It's just going to continue through our body and turn out to be waste. Then we have our bowels. We go down into our bowels here. And in the bowels, we have a whole range of processes. Basically, the bowels are moving, and they get a lot of this, a lot of the foodstuffs from the small intestine, and often they need to add more water to it. So the intestines are constantly drawing water into the intestines, and they're working like a muscle, and it's called peristalsis. And they're working like a sausage machine, and they're just moving the food through our body, and it should continue to do this. If we're dehydrated, the mucous membranes of our gut will be affected, and it'll slow down the muscular reactions. If we're drinking tap water and ingesting chlorinated water, which is generally in our tap water, the bacteria in our gut can be destroyed. So we have naturally occurring bacteria, good and bad, and it should be kept in balance. Chlorine, antibiotics, pesticides on foods, general modern day living, antibacterial products destroy the bacteria in our guts. And if we don't have the right bacteria in our guts, we're going to get a mismatch and overgrowth in the wrong flora and fauna that's going to slow down digestion and intestinal bowel health. Another thing that's really important is if we're not eating lots of fibre and good foods for our bowels, what happens is we have our bowels here, and we can get polyps that are skin tags that go on the inside and can block the bowel. And we also get pockets like this, and they can get little bits of bacteria or even just a little seed stuck in there. And that can go on to, it's like a pimple in the skin, and it can start getting pussy and full, and that starts attracting worms and parasites and mismatch in bacteria. And basically, you know, we are what we don't excrete. So if we're not excreting really good, lovely, soft stools or poo, it's going to go back into our bloodstream, and it's going to make us really unwell. And the other problem this has is that as the toxins are going back into our bloodstream, our liver suffers, because our liver is here to as a filter for our toxins. And that's just working 24/7, clearing, and it can get burnt out. The gallbladder can suffer, especially if we eat too many processed foods and fats. The gallbladder is this little guy that sits on the liver, and it secretes bile, cholesterol, which actually digests all the fats in our diet. And so when we, eat too many fats that aren't balanced, and I'll talk more about food balance in the next few sessions, we start getting an overuse of the gallbladder, and we can develop gallstones, and we can end up with an infected gallbladder that can cause all sorts of health problems too. Plus, we can't enjoy fatty foods anymore, or we'll be in ridiculous amounts of pain. So we need to really protect, these extra parts of our systems. We've got our kidneys here, and our kidneys are the ones that filter the liquids, and they're responsible for toxins and filtration as well. And so if we're not eating a balanced diet and we're absorbing too many toxins back into our system, our poor little kidneys are just working overtime, filtering. And in this case, these beautiful organs aren't getting any rest. And when we sleep, really our organs are supposed to have a bit of a snooze as well. So if we're eating all this crap and our digestion's out, our whole body's going to really suffer. So let's break it down in a nutshell. let's chew the food. Let's get the digestive enzymes flowing and smell it before to even get that saliva flowing. Swallow into the stomach. Eat in a non-stressful environment. Don't drink your food down with tap water where it's going to mix with chlorine. Make sure you're hydrated so the mucous membranes can keep this acid contained, and the acid needs to be there for the digestion of the foods. And if you're having trouble with digestion, then you need to look at some whole foods, because when we start pasteurizing and homogenizing and processing foods, we take some of the vital elements of digestion away from that food. So, for example, when we buy processed food or fruit juices or processed dairy, what we've done in that processing is remove. So, it's taken a part of that food source that's responsible for secreting enzymes and part of the digestion and assimilation of this, and it's taken away. So the food can't get that whole thing going, and it's a mismatch. And then the kidneys and the liver have to, get stressed out because they're dealing with all the toxins. We need to look after our small intestines and the little villi, the little guys that assimilate all the nutrients and get all that goodness into our body and our cells. We also need to look after our bowels and make sure that the bacteria in our bowels is in check, that they're well hydrated so the moisture can come in and lubricate the bowels. We need to make sure we're not stressed so the bowels can be cruising along, doing their peristaltic action. And we need to make sure we're having a high fibre diet so we're not getting foodstuffs stuck in those little pockets. And that's why things like psyllium husk and diatomaceous earth or bentonite clay and slippery elm are so good, because they're drawing agents and they're foods that will draw the toxins out of there and then help eliminate it. So this has been a little bit of a long one. I hope it helps and it's made some sense. Chew your food, drink filtered water, sniff your food, and eat whole foods. Think about what you feel like and why. Is it an addiction, or is it something your body really needs? Get back in touch with those primal instincts that we were born with for us to eat what we need, not the junk that we get addicted to along the way because it's high in sugar or it has some druggy kind of effect on our body. Like some foods, when they're processed, can turn into alcohol in our tummy and actually give us a high. And so we're up and down like this all the time. So check it out, see how it goes. Really encourage you to get your digestion system working well. Thanks. Have a good day. Stay safe and stay hydrated.